So after carving Willy from 3 sides and using a full-length post as support, how do I carve off these support nubs? This isn't your normal, use a flush trim bit to remove the tabs situation, and I sure don't want to sand them by hand and try to match the model. I invented a technique that I'm calling Negative Model Fixturing. But before I explain how that works, let me catch you up on how I got to this point. I grabbed this orca model from CG Trader, as well as this perfect side view render. I imported the model, then imported the render as a canvas. I used the canvas to sketch the 3 white spots, which I extruded through the model and used to split the model body. I punched a hole in his stomach so I could mount him on a post when he's done. I tucked him into a 2.5-inch block, as that was his destination. He needed a support system that would index each side perfectly, so I ran a post through him lengthwise and added an inch to each end. Okay, I've got a block minus the white areas, I've got the white areas, and the final model. Let's get to work. After moving the inlays closer together, I set up paths to carve them out. I carved a new hole straight through my bed and taped a maple board to the table underneath. The 2.5-inch tall inlays were carved with a 3-inch long 1/8-inch end mill, because no one told me I couldn't. I set up paths for the inlay pockets and fired it up. The pockets would have worked great if I'd had the sense to keep the chips blown out, but after the chips filled the pocket, they pushed the bit around a little, which made the pockets larger than intended. I may have seen some smoke before I realized there was an issue. And this amazingly well-placed eye hole was not in the toolpath. The inlay went in pretty loose, but I poured in plenty of extra glue and hope. Then carved the right side of the model. I filled the gaps with black CA glue, then turned the block 90 degrees and carved it from the bottom. After another turn and carving it from the left side, we're caught up to where we started. Okay, so how do I put Willy back on the CNC and know exactly where he is? If you choose a unique area on the bottom of the model and overlap this with a mounting block, you can subtract the model from the block, leaving a unique mounting point that can only fit the model in that exact place. I am literally using the negative of the model for the fixturing. I'm sure it's been done before and already has a name, but this is my video and I'll call it what I want. So I screwed a scrap down and carved the negative fixture. Because I modeled and carved the fixture and never touched the origin, the software should know where he's at. I taped him down, added a couple thou to the Z0 to compensate for the tape, crossed my fingers, and let her rip. I may be insane, but you cannot argue with my results. The alignment on one side was a little off, and the tips of the tail broke, but a little sanding and some oil, and he's ready to swim. I wanted to make a cool base for him, and I thought something wet would be appropriate. I found this ocean tile set, picked a wave I liked, and resin printed it with translucent blue. It was a bit thin and light, so I cut a scrap of walnut, epoxied it to the bottom of the wave, and flush trimmed it to match. After drilling a 1/4-inch hole in the middle, I added a 2-inch long piece of brass rod. Willy sits comfortably on top, looking like he's jumped out of the water. So that's how I freed Willy from the confines of a block of walnut. Now, repeat after me. Willy the walnut whale will whip waves of wet water wherever Willy wants with a waggle. Thanks for watching me be weird. Don't forget to like and subscribe.